You've spent your life hearing you should fear the sun. You've been sold the idea that sunny days are the enemy and cloudy skies are safe. But what if I told you that some of the cloudiest countries have higher skin cancer rates than many of the sunniest? This isn't a myth. It's a paradox that points to a deeper truth about sun damage. A truth involving your genes, your habits, and why everything you think you know about the sun might be wrong. Let's be clear. The story we've all heard isn't completely wrong, just incomplete. Decades of public health campaigns have drilled a simple message into our heads. UV radiation damages skin cell DNA, and that damage can lead to skin cancer. We're told to find shade, wear a hat, and use sunscreen. This advice has saved lives by making people aware of the dangers of getting fried by the sun, and that's a very good thing. But what if that's just chapter 1 of a much longer book? What if this simple story, while well-intentioned, is hiding a more complicated and, honestly, more interesting reality about our relationship with the sun? This is where the story gets weird. The places with the highest rates of skin cancer aren't the sun-drenched countries you'd expect. At the top of the list are places like Australia and New Zealand, followed by nations across Northern Europe. According to the World Cancer Research Fund, Australia has a melanoma rate of around 37 per 100,000 people, and New Zealand's can be even higher. Meanwhile, many countries in Africa and Latin America, which get far more intense year-round sun, have melanoma rates that are often less than 1 per 100,000. How can countries famous for rain and long, dark winters like the UK and Norway have significantly higher rates than countries on the equator? This paradox tells us the simple equation, more sun equals more cancer, isn't the whole story. The answer has less to do with the amount of sun, and more to do with who lives there and how they live. The first huge piece of the puzzle is in our DNA, melanin. It's the pigment that gives our skin color, and its main job is to absorb UV radiation. Dermatologists use the Fitzpatrick scale to classify skin from type 1, very fair, burns instantly, to type 6, which is deeply pigmented and rarely burns. The cancer risk between these types is dramatically different. This is key to the paradox. The sky-high rates in Australia and New Zealand are a story of migration. For thousands of years, those lands were home to indigenous peoples with adapted skin. But in the last few hundred years, they've been populated mostly by fair-skinned people of European descent, whose skin evolved for the low UV climates of the Northern Hemisphere. You've essentially put a population with very little genetic sun protection into one of the most intense UV environments on Earth. It's a genetic mismatch between skin type and environment. But genetics don't fully explain the high rates in cloudy Northern Europe. The next piece is how we get our sun. Scientists now distinguish between two patterns: chronic and intermittent exposure. Chronic exposure is what an outdoor worker gets: steady, daily sun that lets the skin gradually adapt. Intermittent exposure is what an office worker gets after spending all year indoors before flying to a tropical island to get a tan in 2 days. It's short, intense, and often leads to the one thing most strongly linked to melanoma: a sunburn. Here's the counterintuitive part. Multiple studies have found that high chronic sun exposure is often associated with a decreased risk of melanoma. But intermittent intense sun exposure that causes blistering sunburns dramatically increases the risk. This helps explain the paradox in cloudy countries. People in places like the UK or Germany have a culture of sun-seeking vacations. Their pale, unadapted skin gets a sudden, shocking blast of UV. The danger isn't a sunny day, it's the sudden burning shock to a system that isn't ready for it. Speaking of a smarter approach to sun protection, I want to show you today's sponsor, which I'm a big fan of. It's the Tallow and Zinc Sun Balm from a brand called Shrine. This is a non-chemical sunscreen made only out of ingredients that support you and your skin. It's built around grass-fed tallow, which is incredibly nourishing for the skin because its fatty acid profile is similar to our own. Instead of chemical filters that only harm your body, it uses non-nano zinc oxide, which creates a physical barrier on top of your skin to reflect UV rays. It contains vitamins A, D, E, and K to help nourish the skin and fight oxidative stress. With an SPF protection comparable to 20, it's not for spending all day baking on the beach, but it's perfect for the kind of sensible daily exposure we've been talking about. You can get 10% off by using my code HAPPY10, or just click the link in the description. There's one final layer, and it comes down to wealth and awareness. There is a strong link between a country's Human Development Index, HDI, a measure of wealth and healthcare, and its reported skin cancer cases. High HDI countries like Australia and Western Europe have excellent healthcare, public awareness campaigns, and cancer registries that track every diagnosed case. If you get a weird-looking mole, you're far more likely to get it checked and recorded. In contrast, many low HDI countries don't have this infrastructure, which leads to massive underreporting. So the high numbers in developed countries are partly a story of a system that is just really good at finding cancer. The good news is that this relationship flips for mortality. These same countries have much lower death rates because they catch skin cancer early and have better treatments. So let's put it all together. Why are skin cancer rates often higher in developed, cloudy countries? First, genetics. Fair-skinned people are living in places their ancestors didn't evolve for. Second, behavior. The modern pattern of intermittent, intense sun exposure and burning from vacations is far more dangerous for melanoma than steady daily exposure. And third, diagnosis. Wealthier nations are much better at finding and reporting skin cancer. The villain in this story isn't the sun. It's the complex dance between our genetics, our modern lifestyles, and our environment. The point of all this isn't to tell you to throw out your sunscreen. The new, more accurate takeaway is to stop fearing the sun and start understanding your personal risk. What is your genetic makeup? Do you have fair skin that burns easily? If so, you need to be incredibly careful. What is your behavior? Are you an office worker who gets scorched on your annual beach trip? That's a high-risk pattern. The single most important goal should be to never ever get a sunburn. A tan is a sign of exposure, but a sunburn is a sign of severe DNA damage. Sensible sun exposure is not the enemy, but understanding your personal limits is everything. It's time to move past a simple, fear-based message and embrace a smarter, more personalized approach to living with the sun. Let me know in the comments what you thought. Has this changed how you see things? Also interested in all the benefits you get from the sun? Watch this video I made about it. In there I go in depth about all the health benefits and how to do sun exposure right to stay healthy.